Hello, the Bards are in the
Hello.
house. Woo!
Hello.
Howdy doody. Look at those beautiful smiley faces.
Yep.
How's it going, ladies and gents? Look at that. Beautiful.
Teeth courtesy of
Wow.
Michelangelo, who's coming to
Oh,
the
really?
shine.
Coming to the shine. Yeah, it shines your
Mm.
teeth. Yeah.
Wow,
Well,
they look good.
Oh,
Giovanni.
there, Giovanni does.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. Is he amazing?
Oh
Oh,
God, he's
yeah.
off the scale amazing.
Yeah.
You'll love
Yeah.
him.
Perfect. That's amazing.
Both of them
Yeah, they're
actually.
both
Yeah.
great.
Really.
Yeah.
Yes.
Superb. So, huge question. How are you?
We're great.
Yeah, we're really great.
Yeah, I thought you might say that. You're awesomely great.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. So,
As
I
far
know
as
you
I
are,
get
and
with that.
I know for a fact that you've just come back for an amazing trip abroad.
We have.
We have.
And that's
Now,
why I think we feel fantastic.
yeah. So, have you come down?
No, we're still buzzing actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Shall we
Um,
tell everybody where we've been?
I think I really want to hear some incredible stories about the Bosnian Pyramids.
Bosnian
Pyramids,
pyramids.
yeah.
Yeah.
As in t-shirt. Here we
Yeah,
go. Look,
here we
there we
are.
are. T-shirt,
Oh, he bought the
official
t-shirt.
t-shirt. Yeah,
I actually
literally.
bought the t-shirt.
I have a t-shirt as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
No,
beautiful.
we've been trying
yeah.
to get to the Bosnian pyramids for a very long time.
More than 10
And
years.
we first came across them about 10 years ago. And to cut a long story short, every time we tried to get on a sacred journey to there, something fell through. So it was weird. It was about 3, 4 times we tried to get over there,
Yeah.
and then we just kind of surrendered. And but this year, and I don't even know how I found out about it, but I found out that there was a summer solstice festival tour and conference, pyramid conference happening on site. And we both said, yes, this is it. This is the time to actually finally go.
Yeah.
Now, the nearest, it's quite an initiation to actually get there if you're on our side of the country, because there isn't a direct flight to Sarajevo. And Sarajevo has a very interesting history, being the site of where the First World War started. So there was, we've been doing a lot of work. It seems to be to do with the First World War and Second World War, and just infusing our love into the grids around these various places in Europe over the past month. So we were guided from Bristol. You can fly direct to Split, and we thought, let's go there because we visited for a day many years ago, and we thought we always wanted to go back. And it was absolutely fantastic. The energy in Split is absolutely gorgeous. And we were right in the heart of the Roman part, what the Romans ever do for us, eh? We were right in the heart of the Roman city, and it was just brilliant. So this was a great preamble to our journey. And then we got the bus, which is quite a hike. It's about 6, 7 hours, if you're lucky, over to Sarajevo. But you'd love it actually, because it reminded us a lot of the Shine. And I was sort of thinking, do you know what? I could really see Eli and the Shine family, all being in Bosnia, because it had very much the same kind of ethos. Dr. Sam Osmanic, Dr. Sam, he discovered the pyramids in 2005. And there's been a bit of controversy in the archaeological world, because what they're claiming is that these pyramids are much bigger, much older than most of the pyramids on the planet. And we just had the most amazing time. I mean, do you want to just chip in now and then about anything in particular, or shall I keep rolling on?
Keep roll on. No, one of the one of the first places we were taken to was the Pyramid of the Sun. So the Pyramid of the Sun is the one that is the most well known, although we didn't even know there was any others. We only thought there was one like pyramid there, but we got taken up about a quarter of the way up, which is quite a hike anyway.
In the heat.
In the heat, because it was the same sort of temperatures we've been having here. So we were in the 30s, and he takes us to a place, and you're like looking around and stuff, and then he said, right, I'll just explain a little bit about how it's built, and then he started going into there's all these different layers, but there's like layers of like clay between layers of stone, and there's different types of stone, and it's all to do with like enhancing and holding the energy in the space. But he said it's on the top they coat it with concrete, and he said, but the concrete that they've got on the pyramid, bear in mind this is really the biggest pyramid on the planet by quite a distance. The concrete, he said, well, I'll give you an analogy, and I'm sort of trying to remember his exact words, but basically he said, if you think of concrete that you'd be using, like in the UK or whatever, as being rated as 0.7 on whatever scale it was he was using. And he said, well, then you think about the Burj Al Arab, which is the tallest building in Dubai that's been built. So obviously they wanted the best concrete on the planet to build the Burj Al Arab because it's the tallest building. So he said, if you rate that one as about 1.2, he said the concrete that they used to build this is 1.7, which is a lot stronger than the strongest concrete in the world. So when that sort of sinks in, he said, because it's pretty well completely non-porous. So you know, when it rains or anything like that, the water gets in, and eventually, if it freezes or whatever, then it will start cracking the concrete. Well, this stuff doesn't crack, you know. So it was just that part was mind blowing. And he said, and if it breaks, he said, there's a lot of like big pebbles and stuff in it. And he said, if it breaks the pebble, not the concrete. It's that solid.
So if you can imagine, so if that wasn't mind blowing enough, we had Doctors Desiree and JJ Hurtak, they of the Keys of Enoch. And Desiree's brilliant. I mean, she just said, right, well, as we're all here together, why don't we tone? Yes. So because we thought, brilliant, because you've got such a high vibing group of people, and just toning on, or you know, and something simple like that. And honestly, the pyramid felt it was like taking off, and it was brilliant. And we did have, spoiler alert, we did have this surreal experience where in the hotel we were staying in, there was we thought, well, we've been climbing up and down pyramids all day, and our calves, honestly, our calves hadn't seen that much exercise in a very long time. And so, but luckily we had fantastic facilities in the hotel that they had for the conference. And so we went for a soak in the hot tub, and the acoustics in there were magnificent. And there was nobody else around until Desiree and JJ walked in. And I thought, this feels really weird. You know, they've kind of been heroes of mine for ages. And then suddenly they're slipping into the hot tub, you know, with us. Now, we have done sound baths in hot tubs before, but that's another story. But it was brilliant because Desiree was saying, so are you retired? You know, really? So, and we explained what we did. And she said, well, can you give me an example? And so I thought, well, we'll just tone her names. And then we just toned her name. And she said, and JJ just said, oh my God, the frequency is coming off you guys. You've got to come to our meditations. Come to our room at 10 o'clock. And so we had all these other Keys of Enoch people there, and it was just beautiful, just a very powerful meditation and a lot of sound work again. So we were so happy with that. But then the other thing that the site is known for are the healing tunnels, and they've done an awful lot of excavation in the healing tunnels. And so these are really ancient tunnels under the pyramids. And I think conservative estimates are around 30,000 years old, something like that.
Yeah,
when they've done independent samples, different countries, doing various analyses, and that's a conservative estimate. But when you go into the tunnel, which was beautifully cool, and it's a constant temperature of around 11, 12 degrees all year, irrespective of what's going on the surface. And if you can imagine being in a beautiful mountain area, having a cool breeze, through the pine forest or something like that, that's what it feels like when you're actually inside because the air is just so pure and so fresh. And then inside, you've got lots of healing chambers where you can sort of meditate. There's sort of touristy routes, but then there are quieter spots where you can just tune in, you can meditate. And in one case, we ended up toning with Desiree, JJ, and the whole group of us, all in the tunnels.
And an opera singer.
And
retired.
And what do you want to say about Ken Cherry, who was one of the speakers?
Yeah, so one of the speakers, he was invited to talk about his UFO experiences because he was like one of the top researchers in America. But this was like a long time ago, and I think he's over 80 now. And he arrived the same day as we did, and we all got picked up together in a minibus and everything. And he was completely out there. He wasn't in a very good state at all. And I think it was 4 days later was his turn to talk. And he started his talk by saying, I just want to explain something, because he said I had to have a heart operation. And he said, when I had the heart operation, they went down his throat with some of the things that they were using. And he said they ripped part of my vocal cords, or one of my vocal cords. And he said, so that ever since then, the most I can speak is 3 hours a day. And he said, obviously, I'm trying to recover from the heart operation as well. So my health has been really poor. And he'd explained to the organisers that, he didn't think he was well enough to actually be a speaker, but they encouraged him to come anyway. And so he decided where he'd go. So he explained that, and he said, right, so I've been in the tunnels every day. And he said, my energy levels have gone right back up past where I was before I had the heart operation. And I can now talk all day. And he'd been there 4 days. And they said that, basically, there's nothing we can do about your voice. You just have to put up with the fact that you can only talk for up to 3 hours a day. And obviously, he was in pain with it as well. But he had no pain. And we actually had lunch with him a couple of times. And he just wouldn't shut up. He just talked all the time. It was brilliant, because you're with somebody who's really, you just ask him a question about like one of the research things that he'd done or whatever, and then he went into in his talk, he went into one of the big research things, and he said there was hundreds of people turned up in this little town in America that was having UFOs flying over like every day, and he said the only people that would come in were all the older people, like the farmers and stuff like that. He said who lived a life, so they weren't the sort of people that were interested in turning up to talk about something like that unless they'd had a major experience, including a policeman who chased an alien across one of the roofs.
As you do.
who then was told by his sergeant or whatever. He was told, you can't tell this story if you're a policeman, because he said if you go on television and say it, he said nobody will accept your testimony in any sort of case. So he said you'd have to give up being a policeman. You can't say anything. And so he had to wait until he retired, and then he contacted Ken and said, "This is what actually happened."
Yeah. So, but we were
So,
hearing.
I mean, this event was on another level, totally another level.
But one of the classics was one of our friends we've been meditating with through Rory Duff, and he just randomly sent me a message one day and said, "Oh, what's going on for you guys? I've been getting you really strongly, and just want to find out, what you're up to, just hi and things like that." So anyway, in the course of this conversation, he said, "Well, I'm off to Bosnia in a few weeks' time." I said, I said, "We're off to Bosnia in a few weeks' time." He said, "I don't believe it. There's another two people from Rory's group have also been called to go to Bosnia." I said, "There's a conference on?" And they said, "No, we've just been called to go to Bosnia and be there for the summer solstice." And I wrote to Rory, I said, "There's all these guys from your groups. We've all been called to Bosnia, So there's 5 of us." So, and it was brilliant because with one of them, he kept getting this image of the Pyramid of the Dragon. And I said, "I don't know if it's public access to the Pyramid of the Dragon, but let's see what we can manifest." So I mentioned this to one of the volunteers. I've got a fantastic volunteer team on site as well, absolutely brilliant. And she said, "It's private land. However, I know the man who owns it, and his grandson is just a few yards up the path from us where we're standing right now. I'll introduce you and we can sort something out for you." And she said, "It'd be really great if you can get up there because there's a beautiful meditation area." She said, "I've been there myself. It's been specially constructed in a spiral." And so we thought, "Oh, we're getting really excited." So anyway, we went to see the grandson. "Is it any chance of going to visit the Pyramid of the Dragon this afternoon?" "Yeah, sure. I'll ring my grandfather. He'll be there." And so they gave very detailed instructions. We got there, no problem. And it's a place called the Dragon's Nest. And we thought this was all hilarious because, Rory works with the Emperor Dragons. So we just thought.
We got pictures of giant dragons and stuff that he's got, when you get there.
And honestly, it was like a soul family reunion, and the grandfather was virtually in tears, and it was so beautiful. And
he called you his sister.
His sister, yeah, my sister, Sestra, yeah, Sestra. And he was so beautiful. And I just loved that whole way that the land just opened up to us. And then we could do a meditation and, do some war toning work as well with a group of, there were 7 of us in the end with that one. But this is what we love about these adventures. You just have this calling. You know you've got to be there, and you don't know how you will be of service. But the key thing is just showing up, and then that sometimes, funny enough, the silence is so palpable in certain places. That actually to make sound is actually totally the wrong thing to do. And at other times, to actually honor the land, which is what we were doing and what we were doing on the conference. We were, thanks to Desiree mainly, we were doing lots of toning work as a group, and I just thought it was brilliant. So, and then David's just handed. So from Sharif, the guy who owns the land, he gave us these, which were bits of found on his land, and it's multiple crystals, in there. And you also got.
And I've got a sphere.
A ceramic sphere. Yeah.
But obviously we only get anything that's very energetic. So I just dared about 6 there. I picked this one up, and you can feel the energy of it straight away. So I just thought, okay, I'll get that.
But it's very special land, and he's a beautiful guardian of the land.
Yeah.
And recognizes that, and he saw that we were with good intent, and just treated us like family members. Just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's great.
So, but yeah, I mean, the whole experience was, it's still um, blown away. And in fact, actually, we've just been showing somebody round who we met actually at the conference. And he said, "Oh, I haven't been round the sacred sites in England." So we've been spending the last 2 days going around Glastonbury, going around Avebury and surrounding areas, just showing him some of the energy hotspots
Mm.
and doing some sound work with him as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, brilliant.
So we did 2 days of that, and then I think the day before we were with Jason Stilwell
Yeah, doing more sound work
doing
in
some more
Avebury.
sound work in Avebury. So
Mm.
it's literally been non-stop
Yeah.
since we came back. It's been amazing because
Mm.
it's like
When are you going back?
breaks are off.
Oh, we'd love to go back.
We want to go back. It's just
When?
what does it fit in with and when? I mean, we're trying to work it so that we'd like to fly in via somewhere else. So the latest idea was to go to Vienna.
Possibly Vienna.
We might
Yeah.
go to Vienna and stay for about 3 or 4 days, and then go from Vienna into there.
But ideally, we'd like
we've got
to
a lot of other things on as well because this year seems to be the time to take the brakes off, and because we've not left the country for like 5 years, and this year it just feels like although there's been some really odd health issue things that have come up that almost stopped us twice. And so literally up to the day, the day
11th
before,
hour,
the 11th hour, it was like, you can't travel. And oh, what?
Yeah.
And and then we got the go ahead, so it was all right. But yeah,
It's interesting you said about the red clay.
yeah.
I spoke with Guy last night,
Oh, right.
and he was saying we were talking about the Victorian red brick buildings in Liverpool and Portsmouth
Yes,
because they were both absolutely stunning cities before they got bombed. People forget that. And he was saying that red clay actually holds massive amounts of charge, and that's why the buildings were built by these Tartarian technologists in the UK.
Yeah.
Because of the red clay, and obviously it's the same reason why the pyramids have got that red clay, because all your soundings are still there, still resonating, still charging that structure, which is extraordinary. So did you I mean they're such a unknown, aren't they, the Bosnian pyramids, because they're only like 20 years in our psyche. Did you get any ideas of who created them? I mean,
that's a really interesting question, and the short answer is no.
Yeah.
But it just felt very, very ancient, and it just I think it's probably we didn't have a reference point to compare to. It just seemed to be beyond anything that we'd actually consciously experienced. So I can't say it was Pleiadians or some other human race that has actually, ascended or disappeared off the face of the planet. But it just, all I can say is, for me anyway, it just felt incredibly ancient and incredibly healing. So it was very, very beautiful.
I think I've come to the conclusion that it's a very generic term, but I think it works really well, is these structures, these nodes of consciousness that have been left behind were just made by source-connected beings.
That's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, it's a really good way to describe it. Yeah.
So it doesn't.
Definitely.
It doesn't put any lid or label or race or bloodline or anything. I think it's just they're just source connected at that moment in time. But it's interesting how they've been neglected and all those mysteries, and actually, again, it is kind of auspicious that Guy and I spoke last night, and I highly encourage you to listen to that conversation that we had because
That'll be brilliant. Yeah.
it was really good actually. It really was. But it's like we're reigniting
Mhm.
these these nodes that have been asleep,
Yeah.
and they're suddenly come online, and the grid work we're doing now is absolutely off the chart. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
all these places that we're rediscovering for especially people who are sounding, because
Yeah.
Mm,
really sounding is, that's where the business end is, isn't it, really?
mm,
Um,
mm.
Certainly, I would like to be more vocal on that front. But what an incredible time for those pyramids to suddenly appear and to
Yeah.
be so huge and
Yeah.
so magnificent. And
Yeah.
the biggest pyramid on the planet has been hidden by trees. I saw the photo that you
Mm.
posted, and
Yeah.
it was just like that. It's like a mountain.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
know.
and it doesn't even look like a structure, really. It looks like, I don't know. It's like an extension of the earth. I mean, like the pyramids at Giza, they are quite clearly a building on,
Yes. Yeah.
but the Bosnian pyramids just look like this kind of eruption almost. It's like an
Mm,
extension of the
Mm.
countryside, and it's fantastic that you've been there and done that because that work is now resonating so powerfully, and
Mm.
the grid workers are really pulling it out the bag.
yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Well,
You
we
know,
were actually in awe of Sam because having that vision and what he has created, because there's a whole park where they've got you know various things. They've got Tesla, sort of an homage to Tesla. They've got various sacred geometries and all sorts of amazing structures in what he calls the park, Ravna Park too, that contains the healing tunnels underneath mainly the Pyramid of the Sun, but not exclusively. And it was interesting. We met somebody the other day who had visited about 10 years ago. And when we described all the things that have happened since then, he was blown away. He said, I've got to go back. I said,
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it is, yeah, it's just amazing what
And
Yeah.
they've achieved.
the fact that Sam is such an amazing guardian of that land.
Oh,
Yeah.
extraordinary
Yeah.
and very
It,
canny.
it wouldn't it's not a given, is it, that somebody like that would be looking after that structure at all?
No,
Because a lot of these buildings are very occupied, aren't they? So
yeah,
the
and
yeah,
he's been really clever because what he's done is he's actually bought up a lot of the land so that and what he's done is he's opened it to the public.
yeah,
Whilst we were there, he did a summer solstice festival, which was mainly a lot of Bosnian singers, but also had international singers. And he opened that for the community, the wider community, for free.
yeah.
So
There was over 2,000 people turned
yeah,
up,
and
Brilliant.
then
and there was
and if they wanted to, they could donate. But he
mm,
said, no, I want to do this because I want people to experience the park. But um, a few people made the comment about the Bosnian economy being so poor, but he said he just wanted to make this available to everyone.
yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just brilliant.
Well,
because he pays for all of the sound systems and stuff, and they had proper,
Oh,
they had
proper
they had
proper
a
kit.
screen behind the stage that would display any image you wanted it to, films or whatever. But
yeah.
it was a really big screen. I mean, we were about 300 yards away,
Yeah,
something like that, watching it,
Wow.
and it was the whole thing. It's like an amphitheater space and stuff. So it's very very big.
mm,
It's interesting. It's
Um,
interesting, isn't it, how in some places these energies are so available,
yeah,
yeah,
and it feels like, I mean, I don't want to bring it into reality, but in the UK at the moment, they're not available at all. unless you really
No.
work at it. You know,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
are available. I'm not saying they're not available, but
No.
it's very much you have to be very conscious, and it's kind of oppressive when you get to some of these places, or it can
Hmm.
be at certain times. I mean,
Hmm.
I had that experience in Mallorca where I got there, and the places, the sacred sites I went to, it just like almost blew me off my feet how the energies were
Wow.
so available, you know,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's you know, and it just seems that these places are coming online, and yeah, Bosnia sounds great. It really
Yeah.
does. What did Rory say about the kind of the Emperor Dragon lines there? Are they
There are no
part of the
emperor
full?
dragon. There are
No,
no emperor dragon lines there, but he was just absolutely delighted that all of us were there for Harmony Day, because
yeah,
somehow it just seemed to be important that all of us were there. And it's one of those things we probably will never know why we were all had to be there, other than we had to be there. But he
yeah,
was just so absolutely thrilled because, he, as you well know, he had a gathering at Oliver's Castle. There
yeah,
were people all over the planet gathering in either individually or in groups. And so he was just really happy about that. So
yeah, yeah. Absolutely amazing. So, how are you? How are you? Are you doing any water ceremonies or any blessings at the moment? Have you got any?
it's funny you should say that. We as part of the guiding we did over the last few days, we ended up visiting the source of the Salisbury Avon. So this is the Avon that goes past Stonehenge, and
Yeah,
I only found out about it last year, and we couldn't make it to the river blessing. So we managed to get there this year, and even with the heat, the spring is bubbling up, and it's deep from within the earth, and it's so beautiful just to see that. But the next river blessing we're doing is for Lammas, so just before the Shine seminar. So that will be on the 2nd of August. And we'll be going to the source of the River Marden, and that's the river that flows through Caen, and then eventually it joins up with the Bristol Avon. So we're doing that one.